Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
North, up, west, left, east.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Guys, there is a new Jay Foreman video. First video of the day, the original link to the video, top of the description, below that link to the Discord. We'd love to have you. Let's go, guys.
Right, southwest, downy left.
No, restart.
North.
Restart. The original link. Did I say all these things, guys? Preemptive like, original link, top description, Discord. Did I just repeat
North,
myself?
up, west, left, east, right, southwest, downy left. How did we end up thinking like this? Welcome to Map Men. We're the men, and here's the map.
Map men, map men, map men.
Hello, all maps need a top and a bottom. Although it's theoretically possible to have a map where words are written in multiple directions, maps that tried this fell out of favour very quickly because they were horrible to use. Luckily, almost all maps today orientate the world the exact same way, with north at the top. Examples include OS Maps, Google Maps, and this map of all the motorways in Rutland. North as up is such an ingrained idea that not even J.R.R. Tolkien, creator of Hobbits and Balrogs, could imagine an alternative orientation for Middle-earth. So how did it end up being north, and has it always been this way? We're about to tell you, and no. It turns out the majority of ancient cultures had a 90-degree different view of the world from the one we have today. On their maps, the direction most often facing top was east. The reason for this is down to our hot friend, the sun. The sun rose in the east, and because people liked the sun and were happy when it appeared, east became the most important direction.
Oh, there it is, that's a relief.
Incidentally, orientated means east at the top, hence orient. Most European maps had east at the top until well into the 15th century. South was second most important because of all
Okay, in all seriousness, that's interesting.
Most European maps had east at the top until well into the 15th century. South was second most important because of all the sunshine, then west, where the sun set, with north actually considered the least significant direction, because it was the darkest and generally associated with evil. To give you an idea of just how north-hating early Christians were, associated with
Always
evil.
my least favorite.
To give you an idea of just how north-hating early Christians were, graves facing northwards were reserved only for excommunicants and the unbaptized.
Excuse me, I did request to be buried next to my dead wife.
In other parts of the world, we get clues that east was on top, even though no maps survive to prove it. In India, the Sanskrit word dakshina means both south as well as to the right, and if south was to the right, then east must have been at the top. And west must have been on the bottom. Yes. And north must have been. I think we get it. But the most famous early civilization saw the world another yet 90 degrees differently. The ancient Egyptians put south at the top of their maps for the simple reason that because the Nile flowed downhill, its source must surely be at the top. Makes sense. It also explains why it's called Lower Egypt despite being further north.
Yeah, but isn't Lower Germany also the north part just because of mountains? And so I guess lower is just elevation lower than Upper Egypt. But making south north or north south makes a bit of, that my brain can follow that. But then making east or west the north south direction is where my brain gets fuzzy. And I'm like, how does that work?
South at the top soon became an Arab map-making calling card, as shown on the famous world map made by Muslim scholar Al-Idrisi for King Roger II of Sicily, called Tabula Rogeriana. Roger's map. Which featured in the seminal book Kitab Rujar. Roger's book. So, with all this eastness and southness throughout history, how did we end up with the ever unpopular north literally on top of the world? The change in direction occurred at the Age of Exploration. In the 1400s, wealthy European nations literally started to push the boat out in search of exciting things to steal, like gold and potatoes. In order to do this successfully, navigation needed to get better, and that meant the very frequent use of the compass. By harnessing the Earth's natural...
Guys, potatoes, legumes... I don't know about that, actually. I take that back. Potatoes, some beans, tomatoes, corn. None of that was in Europe prior to Age of Exploration. I find that pretty interesting. Anyways.
Magnetic field. Compasses... The very frequent use of the compass. By harnessing the Earth's natural magnetic field, compasses were a superbly useful way of letting sailors know where they were going. The original inventors of the compass, the Chinese, decided that this thing pointed south, which in fairness, half of it did. That explains why the Chinese word for compass was
指南针,
which translates to pointing south needle. But Western explorers saw things differently. In Europe, there was already a long tradition of navigating by the North Star, giving European navigators an astrological northern bias. So, when they got their hands on the Chinese pointing technology, they used it to do what they'd always done, and find north first.
If you've ever used a compass on a Year 5 geography trip where you got lost in the woods and wet yourself in front of Mr. Dugdale, you'll understand how north being at the top of your map makes it easier to turn and face where your compass is pointing.
This navigational edge allowed Europeans to spread themselves and their ideas, including North is Up, all over the world. And after centuries of standardization, North is Up became stuck in the maps and the minds of people all over the planet.
Reminds me of the South Park Africa, not the South Park, the Family Guy South America Africa joke.
So
Sorry.
now, North is literally always up all the time on every map ever with no exceptions.
Except these ones coming after the break.
Hello and welcome to Good Grief. Now, Cyril, is it true you haven't seen your father in 66 years?
Yes, it's true.
Well, Cyril, Good Grief, he's here tonight.
Cyril, good grief. Son!
Is that you?
Father, where have you been? Well, son, you know all those websites that offer a service but suspiciously don't charge anything for it?
Yes, Father.
You know they make their money by taking your data and selling it on to data brokers, leaving you at risk of data breaches and identity theft?
Yes, Father.
Well, that's where I've been, son. I've finally contacted every single...
Guys, make sure if these ads and if this interests you, please use their promo codes, their links and everything, please. We're watching their video.
broker one at a time and asked them to delete my data. It took me 66 years, but I'm back, son, and I'm ready to give you a right good fathering. Oh, Father, I forgive you. Come give me a right good fathering.
Good Grief, why didn't you just use Incogni?
Incogni?
You know, Incogni, the automated service that searches for data brokers and contacts them on your behalf with a legal demand to delete your personal data from their databases, keeping you regularly updated and keeping your identity safe online.
I
Simply
finally
sign up by
realized how
clicking
they
the link
do
in the
the
description
double
below,
person.
and the first 100 people to use the code MAPMEN will get a 60% discount off Incogni.
How dare you ruin this tender moment with my son?
Well, it's not my fault he didn't use Incogni. Good grief.
Good grief, stop talking about Incogni.
It's my show.
Well, he's my father. No, you're my father. Good grief.
You know, you could still have done some fathering at the weekend.
I can't believe I
Come on
can't
my
use
show and you
this.
start
Look,
ruining it by
please
saying
do
that I ruined it.
Incogni. It'll ruin the reunion with your son.
Exceptions to
Guys, I finally figured out how they do this. So I can see the green screening here. So they recorded this one, okay? And then they got the green screen out and made this video the background of the green screen and then had him come back in. Oh my God, I'm so smart.
Well, he's my father.
The reunion with your son.
He's my father. No, you're my father.
Exceptions to North being at the top do sometimes appear on modern maps, in just a small handful of examples.
Some cities arranged in a grid form are frequently shown on maps with North on the one to suit the folded paper it's on and allow for better legibility. Manhattan is a fantastic example of this, creating a false North in the minds of locals and tourists. A similar effect can be found on maps of Melbourne, Mexico
Interesting.
City and Milton Keynes.
The increasing prevalence of Wayfinder or You Are Here maps in cities is popularising this easy-to-navigate kind of map, where up is the direction you're facing and not necessarily north.
Which is a pity for those of us who are taught to always find North first, like this. Also, sat-navs. Modern digital maps can be rotated to face whichever way is most convenient or safe for the user, resulting in a generation of whippersnappers who bizarrely are very familiar with their local area, but entirely unfamiliar with which way is north.
But all these exceptions only do a great job of proving the rule, as maps that are even slightly wonky just look disconcertingly unfamiliar and wrong. Oh.
Jesus Christ. I don't know when this is ever going to stop being strange to me. The amount of times that I've seen the wheel on the right side of the car, you'd think I've gotten over it. I haven't. I completely thought he was driving until he turned around and I saw his hands on the
Is most
wheel.
convenient or safe for the user, resulting in a generation of whippersnappers who bizarrely are very familiar with their local area, but entirely unfamiliar with which way is north.
But all these exceptions only do a great job of proving the rule, as maps that are even slightly wonky just look disconcertingly unfamiliar and wrong.
I don't even know street names anymore.
Does it matter
I'm just
that
like, yeah,
North won
that
the day?
road.
After all, something has to go at the top.
I gotta
Why
stop
shouldn't it be
talking.
North? Does it matter that North won the day? After all, something has to go at the top.
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
shouldn't it be North?
The thing is, it does matter. It affects not just the way you view the map, but the way you view the world.
First of all, top to bottom is how we read things and naturally take information in. Whether it's a map or an album cover or a supermarket shelf, your eyes start at the top and then scan down. And this is well known and exploited by designers of all kinds.
Second, and more importantly of all, psychologists have proven that we associate things that are higher up with positivity.
Hi, top of the morning. Are you feeling tip-top? On top of the world. Did you watch Top of the Pops? I watched it on my laptop. That one doesn't work. Oh.
So if all maps have north as up, we accidentally give places in the north a sense of importance and goodness.
While places in the south might be viewed with a form of second bestness. This applies not just to maps of the world, where Africa and South America are buried at the bottom of the page, and your thoughts, but to maps of London, which for a chippy South London dweller like me immediately explains the unbearable snobbery of North London dwellers like Jay.
You don't have to choose.
It's because of the rock type.
Thankfully, the overwhelming prevalence of north at the top maps has irritated some people enough to inspire them to create some different maps that turn our worldview upside down. In 1979, Australian Stuart MacArthur published MacArthur's Universal Corrective Map of the World.
I like that. Maybe it's just because I like change sometimes, so maybe simply because it's different I like it. But I don't know. I kind of like it. I was going to say, I mean, the reason I think it doesn't is that, okay, but now people are, if you're saying that people associate up with better, well, now you have the same problem and you're going to associate bottom with worse. So, but I like it. Let's change it. I like it.
Australian Stuart MacArthur published
board.
MacArthur's Universal Corrective Map of the World. Simply by flipping the familiar map on its head, whilst keeping the letters the right way up, it placed Australia, usually tucked down under in the bottom corner, proudly at the top.
Although, just because it was upside down, it was no excuse for drawing Europe's borders apparently from memory.
Reorientating the world to give an original perspective is often done as a political statement, such as in this series of maps of Africa by Swedish non-African Nikolai Jesper Sion. His aim was to show the continent from a different perspective, such as this one that imagines borders if colonialism hadn't happened.
And
for maximum mind-mashing, he made all his maps upside down.
Wait, really? If colonialism didn't happen?
If colonialism hadn't happened. And for
I love maps so much. I don't know what it is.
maximum mind-mashing, he made all his maps upside down.
One of the most influential wrong way up representations of the world came in 1972 in the form of not a map, but a photo. On the Apollo 17 mission, one of Gene Cernan, Ronald Evans or Harrison Schmitt took a stunning snap of the Earth viewed from space, and when he finally got back in signal range, sent it back to his pals at NASA for them to share with the world.
Wow.
The now famous photo, titled Blue Marble, appeared
That's so awesome. In space, what does up even mean?
show planet Earth the wrong way up, with Antarctica on top.
But of course, this photo made us see the world as it actually was, a tiny ball floating in space. Suddenly, the whole idea of a top and bottom began to unravel, and there was chaos in the streets.
Sadly, by far the most frequently distributed version of the Blue Marble photo has been cropped and rotated with North boringly at the top, demonstrating just how fixated on North's upness.
Why? You see, now you're changing it. Like, it was fine. Like, this is so much more educational than this. Why are you doing that? Look, if the picture was taken like this, beautiful, perfect. But the fact that it was taken like this is awesome, and you still flipped it. That makes me extremely angry, I'm not gonna lie.
Let's face it, with no gravity, there's actually nothing to anchor us in the infinite expanse of space. Anywhere can be up,
and anywhere can be down. It's a shame that we've got into the habit of always looking at the world the same way. Looking at a so-called wrong way up map can make you see things you've been trained all your life not to notice, and expand your mind. Look at this map of Britain. Until you looked at it upside down, did you notice quite how far Cornwall was from London? Or that Edinburgh was west of Manchester?
Wonky maps can be a good way for city planners to spot areas that need attention, or missing transport links. And that's why it's important to question hard and fast rules like north always being up, because when you look at the world from a different angle, you invite new perspectives.
You've been watching Map Men, and for now, North is up.
Stop. That was great, and it's honestly sort of infuriating. Not infuriating that we picked north. I want to be clear. I think that you got to pick one way, and why not have north? But I love looking at the southern map, at the flipped map. I really do. And the only thing that annoys me was this. But did they think people wouldn't recognize it if it wasn't turned upside right side up, or not right side up, just shouldn't make me as mad as it is, I guess. No, screw it. Love you guys. Hope you're doing well. I hope you learned something or can teach me something in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.